Hi, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar today. My name is Bethany Cheney, and I run marketing here at TenMarks. Wanted to let you know we are going to be going ahead and taking questions throughout the presentation, and then we'll be posting them to Tara, who is going to be doing the presentation at the end of the session. So just so you guys know, you will see in the control panel at the top of your screen a little icon that looks like we've just tried to figure out how to describe it: a Rubik's Cube, a tic-tac-toe board, or 9 small squares. From there, you click there and you can submit questions to us, and we will be handling them at the end of the session. Now I'd like to introduce Tara Maciel. And did I hopefully pronounce that correctly? Tara's shaking her head yes. She has taught 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade for 10 years in California in both public and private schools. So Tara comes to TenMarks with a wealth of experience. She runs our elementary school team, so the people that are in charge of producing all of the content for elementary school, and she will be diving in to show you how you can save time preparing lessons. Thanks for joining us, Tara.
All right, thanks Bethany for the intro. I'm just switching over here to share my screen. Let me get this brought up. All right, so we have 2 main products today here at TenMarks, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the one that was specifically designed to save teachers time preparing lessons, known as TenMarks Math Teach. The focal point of this product is really a series of standards-based lessons that teachers can use directly with the whole class or in small groups, or really however suits them best. Our team of designers and developers on this product are all former math teachers, coaches, and we're really thinking about ways that we can save teachers time. I was in the classroom for a long time, and I was juggling many different subjects. I didn't always have time to launch fully into researching and designing lessons that for a given content area like math, and I'm so thankful that we have this product and we were able to develop this for teachers to really help them get into the deep conceptual knowledge that are required by the Common Core standards. So if you are familiar with TenMarks, you've probably seen our login page. It looks a little bit like this. There are 2 sides to TenMarks, and again, the side I'm talking about today is the side that you'll see on the left, which is about preparing and delivering lessons, and you would just click that button that's on the left to get into the TenMarks Math Teach product. When you're inside the product, you'll see that we're on the Explore page right now, and this is, the overview of all of the lessons that are available. If you are a free user, you have access to all of the curriculum resources contained within 4 standards for each grade level, and if you're a premium user, you would have access to all standards. And each standard comes with a series of 5 to 10 lessons, as well as videos and other resources that go along with that. Moving on, this next page is called, we refer to it as the standards tree. So for each standard, in this case I'm going to be going through the standard called 5MD5C, if you're familiar with Common Core. If not, that standard is all about volume and students understanding that volume is additive. So each standard presents a tree. If you look at the top, you can see what we call the branches, where we divide up and really break down the standard into its core learning objectives. And so in this case, you can see that there are 6 learning objectives at the top of this tree. Again, this is a way to organize information for the teacher to really give a good snapshot of what's expected of their students at a given standard. And then down below the tree, you see the roots, where we have the conceptual knowledge that is feeding into that volume as additive standard, all the way reaching back to 3rd grade in this case, where students are learning about area. And then moving into some of the earlier volume standards before they're ready to really tackle the volume of complex figures. The next piece that I want to talk about is called Assess Readiness. And when you're a teacher in the classroom, you've got a lot of kids, you've got a lot of things to cover, and sometimes you just get so eager to jump into a lesson that maybe you found online or that's in your textbook or that you've even created yourself, and thinking that all of your kids are really ready for that. You get halfway through the lesson, you realize, big mistake. My kids weren't really ready. They needed a little bit of a refresher from some of the stuff that was really feeding into their knowledge and the conceptual understanding that maybe they didn't quite have or needed a reminder of. So our Assess Readiness page is really designed as a quick formative assessment that teachers can use directly with their students. There's questions on the left that they could ask exactly, or they could use it as just sort of a reminder, like these are the types of things that your students should be able to answer and complete before they're able to jump into the focus standard. If you find that your students could breeze through these questions, your kids are probably ready to move on to the focus lessons, which are included. Or if they're not and they need a little bit of a refresher on some of those prerequisite standards, we've provided you with warm-up lessons that you can do directly with your students that tie back to each of the prereq standards. So for example, in this case, you'll see there's a question regarding figure A, or several questions regarding figure A that deal with area and the fact that area is additive. If your students are struggling a little bit with this, we've provided you right away within this set of lessons in the standard for 5th grade, a review or warm-up lesson that you can do directly with your students to prepare them for the main lessons that are coming up next. Again, before you jump in, teachers are going to want a little bit of insight into the possible misconceptions. So we've included this page for each standard. They describe and illustrate with sample work some of the things that students might encounter. When we designed the lessons, we really tried to mitigate these issues by clearly scaffolding instructions so that students don't walk away with these misconceptions, but we know that things happen and we want to give teachers a way to prepare. So again, you'll see the specific examples here that students might encounter. For example, the top one here, that students might only work partway through a multi-step problem or only consider 2 of the 3 dimensions when calculating volume. So the focus lessons are really the meat of the TenMarks Math Teach product, and I want to walk you through a little bit about how they work. So this is from focus lesson number 3, and again, there are a series of anywhere from 5 to 10 lessons on any given standard for all of the Common Core standards. The stuff that's on the right are designed to be student-facing. The stuff that's on the left is really designed for the teacher. This panel here can be collapsed. The questions on the left can be printed out ahead of time for the teacher if they so choose. The things on the right will build and grow as the teacher moves through the lesson and asks the questions. And they're really designed to get at multiple modalities, getting the students to think about the content in different ways, to not just memorize rote routines and procedures, but really to get at the heart of what is being required of them at this standard. The questions on the left are for the teacher to really cue them to thinking about the right types of things to be asking their students and the right types of depth to be going into. The teacher doesn't necessarily have to ask every question, but they should know that each question does tie to a particular animation or sequence of steps that are showing up on the right-hand side. But again, they can use it as a direct script if they want to, or they can use it really to just prepare and think about the types of things that they should be asking as they go through the lesson. A couple things that for me as a teacher I really appreciate with the way we design these lessons. One, the visuals on the right-hand side. You don't have time or sometimes talent, if you're in my case, as a teacher, to draw these types of things on the board on the fly as you're trying to explain them. And we've provided the really clear, catchy visuals for students. And then also, just as a teacher, you're often doing things on the fly, and I know I forgot so many times. I would walk into a lesson thinking that I knew what I was going to talk about, and because I didn't have, these types of things at my fingertips, I would often breeze through things or completely forget to mention that particular academic vocabulary word, or go into a particular level or depth that I meant to at the outset. And so again, these questions are really there to cue the teacher and help focus the students and the teacher on the most important parts of each standard. With each lesson, we include ideas for differentiation. Here we have a little light bulb icon, and you can click that and get ideas for either remediation or for challenge. And in this case, the challenge ideas are shown. These ideas are meant to be things that you could use after you're done with maybe a whole class lesson and you're going to take some of these ideas into small group work. Sometimes they're ideas for modification of the actual lesson itself if you have a group of learners that are a little bit more advanced or a little bit more behind the average. And in this case, you have students that maybe just need a little bit of extra push, or ideas for, hey, they finish everything earlier, they're constantly 10 steps ahead of you. Here we have one idea, which is could be a math journal idea. Can students explore what, they're exploring whether the statement shown is always true. You might cue them to be using more complex figures, such as ones with cavities. And so, again, these ideas for differentiation are there to cue the teacher and provide ways for differentiation across the board. When you are finished teaching, of course, you're going to want to bring it back to practice or homework or independent work. And you know, if you're in the product, you'll see at the top you can tag, or excuse me, switch back and forth between TenMarks Math Teach and TenMarks Math. And so if I'm in the Math Teach, I can just click over here to TenMarks Math. I could get into the assignment section where I'm going to go ahead and find something that's really specific and targeted at what I just got done teaching my students. So we're working on volume as additive. I can jump right in. I can find an assignment that goes right along with the material I just taught, in this case finding the volume of composite figures. And if I'm a premium user, I can even select specific question types. In this case there are 4 to choose from, and I can choose which ones I want to include in my assignment and give it out, you know, every assignment to the same assignment to all of my students. I could maybe even give different targeted assignments to particular students based on how they did during the lesson. And that was a very, very quick overview of TenMarks Math Teach and just a little bit of the ways that it can be used to save teachers time. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Bethany now, who is going to be taking some Q&A, and then she'll be giving those questions right back to me to go ahead and attempt to answer. So thanks.
Hi everyone, wanted to remind you that you can go ahead and post questions. You should see an icon at the top of your screen that looks like a Rubik's Cube tic-tac-toe board, 9 little boxes. We did run this webinar a couple weeks ago and got the following question. A teacher does not actually teach in a state that has the Common Core and is wondering if you don't use Common Core state standards, if you can still find things by a topic name or subject or something along those lines.
All right, thanks, Bethany. Yeah, absolutely. You know, although we did design each of these lessons really looking in depth at the Common Core state standards and tagged those as such with those titles and codes, the content is really, you know, it lends itself well to all state standards, really. It is searchable by topic, so if I didn't know that 5MD5C was a particular standard code that meant volume is additive, but I wanted to just search for volume or volume is additive lessons and ideas, all of these lessons and things would pop up. And again, the engaging visuals, the way things are scaffolded, the way the content unfolds for the students is useful, you know, across the board, no matter what standard or state, you know, what standard you're teaching or state you're in, you're going to find value out of the content that we're offering.
Okay, so we've got another question that just came in. What are some of the other features available for premium?
So the main thing is that, you know, as a premium user, you have access to the whole suite of lessons for every standard in every grade level. When you're a free user, you really only have access to 4 standards, and it can be a little bit limiting because, you know, a great sampling of, you know, what the types of content that we have out there, but as a premium user, you'll be able to have access to every video, every amplifier, if you're familiar with TenMarks product, and those amplifiers are usually only available for the premium users. But it's more than just, you know, if you're familiar with that, normally when students go on and do an assignment, if they, you know, need a little bit of extra help or an intervention, they'll be routed to an amplifier. In the case of TenMarks Math Teach with Premium, you'll be able to, the teacher can actually have access to those amplifiers at their fingertips to use in the class as an instructional tool, as well as the videos. They can search by topic, and of course all of our standards-based lessons.
Okay. And sorry, if you guys saw me looking over you, Tara's actually sitting across from the table from me, and I did want to share something really exciting that's coming out later this week. We have Tara showed you at the very beginning of the presentation that we have standards right now within TenMarks Math Teach for grades 1 through 8, and we actually have algebra coming out. And so these would be all of the standards that cover for a traditional math classroom, Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. In the new integrated path, it's just all of the algebra standards. So we are very excited about that. And an email announcement will be coming out to all registered teachers in the next few days about that. So looking forward to that coming out. Don't see any other questions now, so I think we will wrap up for today. Wanted to thank Tara. At the end of the week, you will be getting an email with the links to the replays for all of the webinars this week. We're running 3 different webinars. We have ones tomorrow and on Thursday as well. If you have any questions, feel free to ping us at support@tenmarks.com. Also, you will be getting a link then on our support website, which is at help.tenmarks.com. There is a detailed webinar that you can attend or listen to the recording for called 101 Getting Started. And this has sort of a very hands-on approach to getting started on TenMarks, and we feel that it's very useful and helpful to a lot of people. So we'll be sending out a link to that later. We hope to have you join us in one of our future webinars, and thanks all for being here.